Okay. Red pill dispensary here. All right. So I felt compelled to make a video. I just couldn't take any more of what I was seeing. Hold on, I gotta do something with my phone where I turn up the I'm sorry, the brightness, because it is not bright at all. It's like dark. There we go. Okay. All right. So yeah. So yeah, hold it from this side, or this way I know it's not me if it mutes. All right. So I'm pissed off. I'm gonna be honest. Okay, so pissed off, or who you're pissed off at. Some people, you know, there's certain ways you deal with it. You don't make a public video. Then again, sometimes you can do it that way, but you want to make sure you do it right. Other times, when it's something like almost like a society or the media as a whole, this is the way I do it. And I honestly, I am sick to my stomach. I'm more sick to my stomach than pissed. But the sicker to my stomach I get, the more I get enraged. And I use that term loosely, enraged. You know, I'm not, you know, truly enraged, but I am pissed off. And what I'm talking about is, see, Kobe Bryant. Now, first thing, full disclosure, here in Boston, you know, we despised Kobe on the court because he was a killer. He was a not a literal killer for those of you guys that know sports, but you know, he was an assassin on the court. You know, his percentage of hitting a shot would go up. He would like his shooting percentage. It seemed like at least it would double. It seemed like it was almost 100%. If it was like game on the line, 3, 2, 1, shoot. And it's, you know, you hit, you win, you miss, you lose. And we're talking championship game 7 type games. Which hence the term, which came out even before before the championship. The particular championship that I'm talking about in 2010, where it beat us like that. We got them the year before, but in 2010 when they beat us like that, this term was already out there because I was doing it growing up. You know, I was an adult in 2010, of course. But it was, you know, you would say you do your fadeaway shot, Kobe, you'd shoot it. And I talked about that on my other channel, Wise Guy Sports, where I normally reserve all the sports talk. But this is no longer about sports, which is why it deserves on this channel. It deserves to be on this channel. All that I see across the media is this like hold hands friggin' like, you know, and anytime, I mean, then again, this is unprecedented. I do understand that. It is unprecedented. We've never had a star of this caliber die in such a way. Sudden. Especially under such horrific conditions. It's like, you know, with his daughter. I mean, you know, I had to make a second video on Wise Guy Sports to even explain that. Because I didn't even, I got the news so early on Kobe. You know, people were trying to let me know. I had already finished my stream. You know, I got the news so early when Kobe died. They didn't report the daughter until, you know, people don't realize, but it wasn't until about like an hour later that they started talking about the daughter. That news wasn't available right away. I'm not putting my seatbelt. I should be wearing a seatbelt as a father. No one I do, but I was just getting gas. Alright, so this is what is enraging me about the media. Do you know the way the media used to treat Kobe? Huh? He had such a vendetta. He hated the media. And by the way, the way that they're portraying him, it don't feel right. And you know what? I'm not the only one that feels like this, to be honest with you. A lot of like NBA stars, NFL stars, now when they're in front of the big news stations and, you know, they have all these, you know, these deals with advertisement companies, Nike, this and that, they don't say it. But you'll see it on their personal stuff. And they make a little personal video that ends up being deleted an hour later, of course. You know, their publicist or their manager calls them, has them take it down. But there's a lot of people. Why am I all zoomed in like this? I hate doing this with the phone. There's a lot of people that feel the way I feel, and they are NBA, NFL stars. And as somebody who covers sports, and you know, that's what I go to school for, that's what I you know, work with, that's what I do. And you know, to people in the truth community, that's almost like a futile you know, endeavor, even watching sports. I get that. To a lot of you it is. It shows in how little are even interested in the Wise Guy Sports from, you know, a successful channel in the Red Pill Dispensary. Which, by the way, I am very well rested. That was great to get some sleep. I actually needed this. I'm happy. I'm kind of happy some things really pissed me off. And by the way, guys, don't worry. People don't get to me like that. They get to me afterwards when I watch, because when I watch the chat, you know, I'll talk about that after. I want to stick to one thing. So, first of all, Kobe in his actual life, not this fake life being portrayed by the media, he hated the media because of the way they treated him. They treated him like dog shit. And, you know, the people forget that, you know, of course, the rape allegations, you know, all that, didn't get convicted, but some hush money, all that, whatever, okay. So all that went on, and I hate even talking about something like that on a dead man, but you know what? I don't know. You know, this isn't, you know, like a show with sponsors where I have to worry about that type of stuff. I can speak freely, and you know, that should be refreshing. And if that like upsets anyone, maybe the truth community isn't the place for you, because that's what we do, we tell the truth. So, you know, the rape allegations wasn't exactly the best character. You wouldn't know that if you didn't watch sports. You wouldn't know that watching the coverage lately. And really, you know, the way I measure a man is I believe in second chances. For sure, America's the land of second chances. I mean, that's a corny cliche, though, at the same time. That people say that really isn't true. once you got a record, they kind of throw you out with the garbage. That's the truth. I almost got caught into the friggin' bullshit being fed to us. Anyways, so also on Kobe, and this is what I admire, was his second act in life, and that was being a father. And he was a great father. Now, next on the media, all of a sudden, every single person I see that is a newscaster, that is a talking head in a suit, every Tonight Show person. I mean, you see Jimmy Fallon crying, you know, about how they went to get some beer one time. Did you guys see this? It's like Jimmy Fallon's ratings are so bad, like they'll do anything. I mean, these people are they're so deep into the satanic agenda. They know there's more to this story. And you know what? At first I thought, you know what? No, I don't think so. I don't think there's more to this story. It makes sense. There was bad conditions. Then I found out, this was my first clue, yes, the conditions were horrible, but multiple witnesses, which for some reason try go looking for those. There's one that you'll find, but all the other ones, the ones who like really described it, like the best, like really, like they were right there. Oh, and by the way, it crashed in Calabasas. I found that weird at first, Kardashians. But not just in Calabasas, in Kourtney Kardashian's backyard. Literally in her backyard. Literally. I think that her publicist kind of got to the media and they stopped talking about that. So a lot of people might not know that. Literally in Kourtney Kardashian's backyard. Kind of freaking weird. And we know that they're definitely involved with the whole agenda that they got going on in Hollywood, right? So at first I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it. I didn't even think that Kobe. Because the thing with athletes is this: they make a lot of money, but they're talented. You can't. The devil in all his works, and this is. The earth is the devil's domain. It is. That's where we live, and that's why, it seems like nice guys finish last, and the people who are willing to step over someone dying are the ones who are gonna have all the money and cars and seem the happiness. Deep down, they're not the happiness. They're actually the most miserable people, to be honest with you. And it's the people that can't be bought that, normally are the ones who there's nothing that everyone can be tempted with something, but there's a lot less to be tempted with. Especially, in America, we grow up in we don't even realize it until you I realized it when I first started in college, my first sociology course. And this is a legit sociology course, not the sociology courses of today, which are like a joke. It's just basically like, if you're a white male, you suck, you're privileged, and it doesn't matter where you grew up, doesn't matter what, this and that. It's just like all that bullshit. Like, there's not two genders, just unbelievable, crazy stuff that is now like considered fact in college. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you, being on a college campus at my age, I feel like an old guy. Get off my lawn. But it's not that. It's not that, because there's other young kids who see it as well. Normally they're veterans, a lot of like 22-year-old veterans, fresh out of the military, and they feel the same way. And they're not from down south; they're from Boston too. Actually, one that I met was actually literally from where I grew up. So, you know what I mean? Like, he was literally from the neighborhood. So, anyways, what I'm getting at is that we all know what goes on in Hollywood, and what it takes to make it, and some things that they make you do. I'm not going to get into those things because I'm just not going to right now. I'm already, like, upset enough than to start talking about satanic ritualistic shit. But you guys, I'm pretty sure anyone watching this is pretty well informed, and if you're not, do a DuckDuckGo search, not a Google search. Do a DuckDuckGo search. Although DuckDuckGo, it's not what it used to be. They got to. So, anyways, where I was at was, I thought this was a legit accident. First clue, weather. Horrible weather. Foggy weather. Perfect weather to not be flying a helicopter in. In fact, where it is now, this is what they're saying now, because, the news comes out sometimes, it comes out later, unless there's an agenda. Then what you start to find is the initial news that is eyewitness accounts, the type of stuff that stands up in court because it's the most reliable type of information. That stuff's scrubbed. Except I've only found one this morning, because I was like, I wanted to play something for you. It was only one, and it's kind of weak. He's like, I heard, but there's other ones that describe, they can see it, hear it, everything. So the official story as of today is that as a very experienced pilot, which this guy was, extremely experienced. I mean, and by the way, for those of you guys talking about, that's what Kobe got for being a big shot and, taking helicopters everywhere he goes and all that crap. Listen, it was a special occasion, and you know what? He is that level of star, and in LA, that is common. There's helicopters. New York, to an extent, is like that, but LA, that's how it is. You're taking helicopters places you're going. LA traffic is horrible, and he was going from toasting with LeBron James, because LeBron James just broke his record, and as a class act. I think Kobe actually really cleaned up his image. I think he woke up after all the stuff with the wife, and he wasn't too good to his wife at one point. The rape allegation, because it's never proven, but let's just say that the streets said, yeah, he did it. But do I believe that? I don't know. When it comes to things like that, and somebody's famous and rich, I have to see it in court. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say that I think it's true. I'm just telling you like what people were convinced it was, and the media treated him accordingly for years and years and years and years. Another thing, so I didn't even finish this part. All of a sudden, everybody, I know I'm kind of jumping around, but it's all right, no problem. Everybody was his biggest fan. Everybody never missed a game of his. Everybody remembers every single legendary Kobe moment. What are they talking about? I see you. When the games are on, that's when you're on TV. When the games are on, that's when you're friggin' doing whatever crazy shit there's no way that you're an actual fan. It takes away from the real fans that actually did appreciate what he did on the court. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, everyone has a story. Everybody's crying. Everyone's, I'm not crying. I cried for the fact that his daughter was with him and just thinking about those last moments and not being able to help your daughter. That's what I would think of, personally. That's what would make me emotional. But I'm not going to cry over it. You know what I mean? If he was a Boston sports fan, a Boston sports player, like I said, this is unprecedented. I don't know what I would do. But maybe. I'm not knocking anyone if they cry, if they were truly like a diehard Lakers fan, or if they're just sensitive in general. But when it's bullshit on the media and the friggin' news anchors tearing up when it's days later, or the friggin' Jimmy Fallons of the world with all his bullshit stories, and then for the rest of my life, I'll never forget, and I'll tell my children about that beer run, that beer run. Get the fuck out of here, Jimmy. You're such a fucking... I know all about you. Man, one person that there is an extensive amount of actual, truth on that's been... It's just, he's so bad at hiding it because he's such a miserable bastard. He's such a bad alcoholic. It's, obviously sold his soul. And, I think that, he's really struggling with it. And he's an alcoholic. I've seen things from a bunch of his writers. I mean, his writers got together, had an intervention. His writers have gone off. One of them is Anthony Jeselnik, and he'll kind of troll. So I thought he was trolling until I started seeing other writers saying it. And they talk about he has a routine. Right after the show, he doesn't talk to anyone. He goes straight to one bar where no one knows him, puts on a hood, sunglasses, sits in a corner, and drinks himself stupid for the rest of the night. Am I judging? No. But that's who he really is. He puts himself off as this different guy, and it's so obvious. Anybody with any sense of people can tell that he's fake. You know what I mean? That fake laugh, even Bill Burr was sitting there with him. He's like, you all right? What the fuck is wrong with it? Bill Burr is a thorough, real dude, comedian. Another type that usually are harder to buy. They're harder to tempt, because they have a certain moral conviction that at any point, just with their mouth, they can go out, just start talking, and make a bunch of money. So there's that. Now, also, oh yeah, I'm not getting into the rituals, if that's what you guys are talking about. So anyway, so as far as this actual crash, the conditions were horrible. And so I just thought, okay, it's a legitimate crash. But at the same time, when conditions are horrible, that's also a perfect time to maybe pull a fast one. Also, when you get something like the coronavirus, which, by the way, for all the trolls, I bet you guys aren't, mocking it now, are you? Have you watched the news lately? You guys aware of what's going on in the world? Part 2 will be tonight. Everything that would have came later, although that show ended up being so long, it's probably best that there's a part 2. And there's been so much progression since, and so much new news that, this part 2, it's going to be even more explosive than the first. I mean, the first kind of lays the framework. There was I had to spend that good hour and a half at the beginning, just making sure that anyone and everyone understood. And a lot of people that wanted me to really get to some other points, and I said, no, I'm gonna do it my way. And I think it was the right thing to do, because you gotta think of it as somebody who has only seen what they saw on the media. And when you look it up on the media, first of all, let's say you're on your phone, you have to scroll down 10 things, and then you get there and it'll say coronavirus after about 10 stories. 2 on Kobe. And by the way, and now they're not stopping. There's more stories. And of course, it doesn't mean that every story is fake either, guys. Not everything is just fake. It's just that when it gets pushed, when there's a mysterious push behind a story. Now, obviously, a story like Kobe dying in this fashion with his daughter will woke up to a couple new big stories. What was it, 8 people, or no, 11 people, something like that, just died in Alabama, right on at a dock. It just instantly incinerated. I wonder, I didn't get to hear the detail. Actually, I don't think they even had any details. They just know that it literally was gone in a mere couple minutes. So I wonder about that one as well. To incinerate that quick and that many people to just die. You can't even get away. It was a dock. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. But at first glance, it's do they even need any more distractions? It's died in a helicopter crash. Was unprecedented. Never really had a star in any sport die in such a way with their kid, who was also a athlete, and they were heading to her tournament and leaving from toasting with LeBron James, because he just passed him for 3rd all time in scoring. And you know what I went to originally? I didn't go to the conspiratorial route. I thought, this is legit. First sign was the weather. And all of a sudden you start hearing what eyewitness accounts. They start blaming the weather. One had 2 things that they all agreed on. I still better be live. Oh, they don't want me talking. Oh, good. Sound over the target. Here we go. I hope that you guys can see this. Oh man, saying trying to reconnect. Can you guys see me? You guys can see me? Yes or no? You guys see me? Damn! Alright, I'm going to say it fast. Alright. What they all agreed on, and you can only find one video, and all he says is it was sputtering. So that's it's not enough. But there was 5 other videos where they said, I saw it on fire. I heard the rotors going cook, 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 cook. The guy actually made the sound. Another person talked about it sputtering as well, so threw in the fire part. They're not going to let me talk about this. They're not going to let me talk about this. And this is just further reason. The videos now. saying trying to reconnect. So multiple videos of eyewitness accounts that both saw and heard that helicopter in distress, not turning around, but going down. A fire in a road in the rotor, or I think that's the sputtering, the and almost like it wasn't like, one said it was spinning, but he must have saw like right at the end. It just said time out. What does that mean, time out? They put me on time out for saying that? And then, you know, one person actually described it as spinning, but he must have saw it at the very end. For a while though, it was kind of flying and, you know, like not flying straight, you know, having trouble, but it wasn't like a spin out, you know, like a helicopter when it totally goes, it's just a spin out down. That's it. It was, you know, and then again, you know, maybe that's because of the experience of this pilot, which, you know, I don't know why he flew in fog like that. But if it was sputtering like that, way up in the air, and I heard, you know, and I thought to myself, well, what if it clipped something, you know? And then the best way to do, disprove. I don't know if you guys can even hear this, but the best way to these things out is you don't just believe this conspirator vote right away. You want to try to disprove it. Disprove the conspiracy. And if you're having trouble doing so, you might get something. Now, once I saw that, I started thinking, that makes no sense. But at the same time, the media wasn't saying it was definitely caused by fog, and the official story is that the helicopter just went straight into the side of the hill. No sputtering, no nothing else, nothing like that. Nothing like that was going on. It just went straight into the side of the hill. Yeah. They're not gonna let me talk. They're not gonna let me talk. You know, and all they do is further validate the truth in what I'm saying by doing this. That's all they do. They further validate it. But there's no way that you can actually sit there and tell me that there's so many eyewitnesses. The most reliable way of an actual event, if you want to find out what happened. If you take a court of law, the most reliable thing is an eyewitness. Get their statement right away. Shit. I'll try to say it really fast. If you get their statement right away, that is the most reliable thing in court. Now, if it's months later, it's not as reliable. But if these statements were on the ground right after it crashed, people describing what they all saw something with fire, something sputtering, and then all of a sudden, these things aren't on the internet anymore. Except for one guy talking about, I heard a sputter, and he also happened to be the one guy that looked like, I don't know, let's just say a dummy. So, you know, it's kind of weird how they left up one almost to like cover their tracks for the people that heard that there was something like that. But then you see the guy and you think, what's his credibility? I don't know what they think. I try to figure it out. You know, it's just, honestly, I just think they think we're stupid. And you know what? They're actually right. They're right. There's 10 people in here right now. Now, I'm not a big channel. I'm a medium-sized channel. But you know, it's just we're stupid. That's what it is. That's what it is. So I hope you guys can see me. So also, what I want to talk about in the media with this whole thing. So I wanted to talk about that because that was my first red flag. Then, like I said, athletes, they don't get bought out often. That's why, like, I see a lot of videos about different sports athletes doing satanic rituals and things like that. And guess what? Satan can't just give you, as far as what I know, I mean, maybe I could be wrong, can't just give you this God-given athletic ability and make you grow friggin' 10 inches. Like, I can't just sell my soul right now at 35, at 6'2", And well, maybe at 6'2", I could probably be a point guard and make it. But let's say I'm 5'8". If I'm 5'8" and I want to be an NBA center, I can't grow 2 feet. You know what I mean? And just like the NBA. So my point is, athletes are the hardest ones to buy out, but they have God-given talent. They have God-given athleticism. And when you have God-given athleticism, you can kind of say F you to the man, F you to Satan. You can say F you to all the temptations. Now, you might give in to the temptation of flesh and things like that, but hey, I'd rather that than you know, being a rapper, something that anyone can be if they're branded right, if someone writes the right lyrics for them, if they practice a certain swag, or even maybe they have, that's the one thing they do have is some swagger. And basically what I'm describing, what's coming to mind is Jay-Z. I mean, you look at pictures of him when he was younger, you look at pictures of him now, but, you know, money has a way of, like, you know, putting, like, lipstick on a pig. But this guy, you want to talk about an ugly mother, Jay-Z was one of the ugliest dudes I've ever seen in my life. Like, and, you know, what do I care if he's ugly? But the point is, he's with Beyonce, okay? Let's be real. Look at him when he was in the Marcy Project selling drugs. Look at the pictures of him. His teeth are going in 20 different directions. And, you know, yeah, money has a way of attracting women. I get that. But it was more than just that. He had the wherewithal to make his own industry. Well, maybe that's because he knew the drug game. He understood that, you know, he needed to control his own thing. And I think that might be some truth to that. But there was some point along the line when he really got big. We're talking buying NBA teams. And it was before this, obviously, that we know he's into the soul cooking with Marina Abramovich. There's multiple pictures of them together. We know what she is to the ruling class. She's like a top witch, literally. And, you know, they're like best friends. So, you know, someone like Jay-Z, someone like Kanye, these types that we know, they even admitted they sold their soul. Now, people say they're just saying that. No, they're really admitting it. And I think they're struggling. I think Kanye is struggling with it more so. Jay-Z seems to be embracing it. All right? Because both of them, you know, the wife, the high-profile wife, and life, right with it. I mean, they're almost like at the point where it's not even about, they don't even have talent in what they do, which is rapping. And, you know, in the first place, like Jay-Z, yeah, he was pretty good. Both of them were kind of good. Not as good as their money. I'll tell you that. Their money doesn't represent how good they were at all. There are underground artists that are way better, but they're just not willing to sell their soul like that. These guys were. And, you know, and of course, Jay-Z was first, and I think he found out about this whole thing, and soul cooking, and selling your soul, and how that watches. I mean, Marina Abramovich, in the name of art, made a whole display where she put step by step how to sell your soul, by the way. Made a golem as well while she was at it. Literally step by step. And it has to be exact. You know, I'm not going to tell you guys the exact finger and the exact, but it involves basically every fluid that comes out of a human outside of vomit that you could think of. You know, a certain finger being cut. So I'm not even going to give the recipe, but yeah. All right. And then a golem and all kinds of stuff. And she puts the whole thing, and it's art. Literally, that's what it is. And then she has this other thing, which is also called art, where she sits there. And she can't create, they can only manipulate. Same thing as the devil. He can't create, only manipulate. Remember that. And you can't separate the physical world from the spiritual world. Those are two things you should never forget. And what she does is she sits there, and this is called art, by the way. And people line up by the tens of thousands to come and sit across from her and look in her eyes. And when they look in her eyes, it's the most profound experience they ever had. Most of that is their own psychological projections. You know what I mean? I see people do that with me. I see psychological projections when people like don't like me. They'll do like these like psychological projections as they're trying to talk about me, and it kind of gives them away. And I know if I ever want to strike. Days ago, what was that? What was that on the last show? In chat, do you guys not see? That is like a level. That's not just like a troll that just stops by and it's probably some young kid. No, it's like they made their whole screen name, picture, all about the coronavirus, and then pretend like, oh wait, I see. Pretend to be a skeptic, and then oh I see, and then continue to. They just keep on like the whole chat's just talking about them or to them. I'm talking to you, novel coronavirus, even though it's just these are all fake, made-up names, and we know whose MO that is, and she wasn't the only one. I already did all of it, so you know what? How about this? I'm talking to Novel, talking to Lisa, I'm talking to Question Everything. Oh, yeah, you guys don't. Question Everything, Novel Coronavirus, Lisa, there were 5 in particular. There were more than that, but there were 5 who were doing it in a methodical way, like a actual provocateur that like thought this thing out and tried to cover their tracks. Showing something about your channel. It's not your personal information. It's just something that proves something. So if any of you guys are legit, please be there tonight. All right. So that the other 2, it's something like it's a religious name. The 4th one. Oh man, I should have wrote these things down. But definitely those 3. You know what? Anyone who thinks that they might have been a troll the other night, please come. And the 5 that I'm talking about, I'll if you guys do show up, hey, well then you can prove that you're not who I know. And just listen to what I have to say and just look at one thing I have to show you. Okay? And if you don't show up, well then you just prove once again who you are. Now, 2 of them are the same person. The other 3 are all connected to something else. To be honest, there's one, I'm not sure if it's one or the other because I didn't get the hard evidence. But on 4 of them, I got the hard evidence. 2 on one person, 2 on a totally different, actually, like, they're not exactly like buddies. 2 someone totally different as well. Actually, they might be buddies. Who knows? Who knows these days? But, actually, I'm not going to give away all my cards. But just show up. That's all I ask. Show up. I don't, this is a very important show. I don't want to make it all about this. But when I see you, I'll have it ready in a tab. And I'm just going to click it. You'll see how it goes. It won't disrupt the show too much. So when there's certain channels, and it's so easy, like put it this way, if you have a channel and people are trolling, I might make a video, but then you give away some, then they find different ways. But here's a very simple one, very basic. You kind of know who it is. Block them. I don't like to block people. Block them. This is why I don't block them, because all they're gonna do is make other names. So I don't block people, right? But they might get blocked from my mods in the chat because they're just disrupting the chat. And if it's a show as important as the coronavirus, which, have you guys been watching the news? Seriously. The latest, and I'm going to tell you, this is the latest news. Remember we were talking about Generation 1, Generation 2, Generation 3, Generation 4, and how I thought it was on the Generation 5? Well, it turns out that first man that we thought was Generation 1, Well, turns out he did not get it at that market. Although 66% of everyone who has it had visited that market, the person who they assumed and it had every reason to think was the first person and that they got it at that market, there's now scientific proof. Now that I think that they realize they got a problem, and I think they're opening up to the international community of scientists, and I think, Americans even, you know what I mean? And they're the ones, they're sending all the data over to them, and I think they're the ones who ended up figuring this out. And they said, listen, this guy never went to the mall. Here's the kicker. He did not get it from an animal. Now, does that mean that this didn't start from an animal? Because everyone keeps talking about patents and all this stuff. Well, the coronavirus has existed before in animals. It's just, it was never in people, as far as we know, at least, since December 1st with this one man. But now we know that not only was this man not at the market, as they reported and thought, because also 66% of everyone who got it was at the market. They know that. That's a fact. That's 2/3. Weird number, 66, probably 66.6, but 2/3 of the people all were at that market right before they got sick. And by the way, and I'm going to tell you something, let me finish this point. Also, the second thing, and this is supposed to be the first guy, the second thing, am I even live? Wow, they're not even letting me talk about this. Oh, I am. The second, the guy also did not receive it from an animal. I mean, what does this mean? That's the question. What does this mean? What this means, it does not say definitively that this did not come from an animal. It doesn't say that definitively. It does open other doors, though. Oh, they're going to stop messing with it because I just mentioned that lab nearby, that LAB, that was close. Oh, yeah. That's a whole new door that's opening now. And like I said, in part 1, I said there's certain things I refuse to take off the table because there's little clues that point in that direction. I said, but my educated guess is most likely this. And I had every reason to think that with the facts I had on hand. And by the way, I still back up everything I said that night, except that he was first generation. He wasn't first generation. Unless he got it at the biowarfare lab. And this is actually something that was done on purpose. Then he could be first generation. But you would think that they wouldn't give it. I mean, I guess these days that you can give it to them. But usually, you think that because nobody had ever gotten it from it. They had heard about it in animals, but nobody had ever received it from an animal before. And all of a sudden, one person did, because they were eating these weird things at this market in Wuhan. And all of a sudden, it spread to the second generation, then the third, and what we're seeing right now is the fourth. And the people getting sick, put it this way, the people who came here and then got sick after they got here, because by the way, remember the incubation period, the latency period, it went up. We were talking 5 to 7 days at the most. So now they're saying as high as 14 days or more. So they're saying 14 to, maybe a little bit more even. Why does it keep going up? First I heard 5 to 7. Then I heard up to 10 days. Now I'm hearing 14 days, meaning 2 weeks or more of no symptoms, yet you are 100% as deadly and infectious to those around you as somebody who is coughing and on his deathbed with that same disease. You could be running a 26.2 mile marathon on your 4th day of being sick and be just as infectious as the guy who's about to die any second in the bed, who's been sick for months. That's what makes this virus so deadly, to be honest. And what makes it deadly is how spreadable it is for that reason. And this is, I was already saying this when I thought it was 5 to 7 days. Now we're talking up to 2 weeks. This is getting out of hand. I'm literally, that's why I feel so good that I sounded the alarm. Because I don't do this fair porn crap. I'm not into that. And I heard some people writing like, well, there's no such thing as fair porn because, you know, no one's holding a gun to your head making you be here. Well, yes, there is a such thing as fair porn. What are you talking about? Yes, people like to see they slow down on an accident. People like to hear things that are scary, and their psychology, the way psychology works, they will think it's real, no matter what it is. I could tell you, like, listen, guys, I just found it. Like, you know, if I was one of these pieces of crap that we know does it on a nightly basis, and I've been up in arms about people like that. My whole YouTube thought about even having a career in YouTube. I just had a YouTube, and I was always against that. I think it's disgusting. I've always stood up for people against manipulating pieces of shit. And friggin' trying to spread fear and scare people and just to make money. Like, how far does money go, really? And then, you know, pretend to be a Christian, pretend to be a prepper. You know how you want to help people prep? You know what you do? Go check out Richie from Boston's last video on his second channel. You know what he's doing? He's actually going out into the woods, showing you how to survive outside, showing you a real bug out bag that's actually in the back of his truck, by the way, which I saw a million times. And then on his other channel, he actually goes through how to use each item. You know, whereas Adam's approach, we'll make a Discord and talk about it. No, you need to show people, and then they need to try it themselves. So if he's showing you at home, you set it up. You ever do like a how to do? You don't know how to do something, like fix something, and you go on YouTube, and you know some handyman fixes it, and then you fix it, and it's like, wow, that's great. I mean, that's what YouTube used to be, like cool stuff like that. Well, Richie from Boston had the great idea of doing that, except with survival and prepping. And you know, he's not doing it necessarily because the coronavirus, but there's signs all over. You guys hear about the locusts in Africa, we're talking 4 horsemen type stuff. You know, we're talking the pestilence, we're talking so the pale horse would be pestilence, right? Pestilence. The red horse would be war. The white horse would be it would be basically like tyranny, almost like this king taking over or something. I forget the exact words to the white horse. I always mess up on that one. But the pale horse I know for sure. And then of course there's, you know, it's some interesting, but that's what we're talking about. That's the level that we're playing with. And we've been being signs. They'll be signing the moon sizes. And you got to think, everyone thinks it's just going to happen like over this quick, tiny period of time. And it is. But really, when you look at it, it's really been happening like spread out over like, you know, a whole generation. You know, like our grandparents saw, depending on how old you are, of course, you know, World War II. I mean, people had every right to think those were end days. But then again, there was some stuff not fulfilled. For it to come true, the whole prophecy has to be fulfilled. That's why people realized Jesus was the real deal. Because afterwards, when they looked into the scrolls of all this ancient text, everything was fulfilled. It wasn't fulfilled the way they thought. But that's the funny thing about prophecy. The way you think it's going to happen isn't how it happens. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's a lot of examples of that. And it seems like something so small. That Revelation 12 sign, I still believe to this day that was legit. That was a huge red pill moment for me. Because I think of the chances of that happening, Jupiter and retro. But then, of course, you have the idiots that have to turn it into scaring people and saying the world's going to end that day. I said the world's going to change that day. It's going to be like a rebirth. It's the same thing I said with the Mayans. And you know what? We're not even sure if we get the year right. Because of the change to the Gregorian with the Gregorian calendar, like, we're not sure if we have the years right anyway. So, who knows? Maybe the Mayans do have it right. It's just 2012 might be now, or it might actually just be the beginning of the end. You know, I don't know. I know that there's a 7-year period of, tribulation. Some people argue that. There's other people who think other things. I'm not a scholar on the Bible, but I've read enough over the past few years where I've been born again, and I used to never read it, that, when I see things come to mind. Like, one of my favorite ones is, and it's very true. I mean, there's a lot of, it's really true. You judge a man like a tree, almost like by the fruit he bears. Anyone can talk the game. In fact, no one does it better than the devil. But if the person, when you look at them and you look at what they do, and they actually are kind to people when no one's looking. They actually care about people when no one even knows that they're talking to these people. No one has any idea how many people I email daily. How many people, when they're down, they know they can depend on me. Sometimes it might take me a while to get back to people, because it's just, I'm so busy, and I do get a lot of emails and texts, because I did put my phone number out there. And as far as the phone number, you basically, know who you are, if I don't mind you using the phone number. But that's not the best way to reach me. The best way to reach me is email, because, nobody wants their phone going off 100 times a day with a text message. And now it will, because I said that. But anyways, so the whole point of this video, I kind of got into that stuff. But how interesting was that with the corona? That Thank you, Brandy. How long did I lose audio again? Thank you, Brandy. Oh, yeah. I think I know what you guys are talking about. Somebody who, that's fine. See, the thing is, he was a troll. But generally, in a situation like that, I don't care what someone's faith is. Everyone is welcome. That particular guy was purposely trolling. And I wouldn't call him a guy, let's just say that. But that particular one was trolling. Very unchristian to not be accepting. You should have sound now. It should be back now. So I don't know how far you guys heard back, but I just saw that in text. How you're talking about, he was he was being a troll. and he was trying to cause, he was trying to expose the fact that, I put, and he was hell-bent on it. And even though it wasn't enough for him, I said, listen, you guys can watch it, but I said, I don't want to misquote it, but I basically said something along the lines of, what did I say? I said something like, does anyone remember what I said? That was a long stream, and I've said a lot since. Because what was he saying? Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus. He was like basically trashing Jesus. Instead of saying, well, not everyone's a Christian, and, he's trashing Jesus. Like, so I said, listen. I said, and you know what? One thing I'm proud of is, despite the trolls and all that, and listen, we all know that there's a lot of people who hate the Red Pill Dispensary. They're haters. They're jealous. They know that I have legit sources. They know I've broken a lot of stories. They know that, I have exposed them in the past. That's probably the main driving force, is that I've probably went at them at some point. And we know that, we know that the people who are that petty. It might not be some of the people you think. I just don't want to give names. So, there's certain people that, I haven't seen them talk shit, and so I don't talk shit. Even though I kind of owe them one, I just don't do it because, especially with the coronavirus, we should learn to be better to each other as humans. We really should. Okay, so anyway, that guy, he was just a freaking troll. Now we're talking about him again. That's what they want, just so you know. But yeah, he said something, and I said, listen, I don't care what your faith is. It's just you're saying, that doesn't do anything for you, and this and that. And I'm like, well, that's just you. But guess what? To a lot of people, that is the answer, is the fact that they, have the full armor of God and, have their affairs in order as far as, their connection or reconnection with their Savior for eternal life in heaven. And to some, that sounds like a joke. They laugh when someone says something like that. I full-heartedly believe it. I guess if you don't feel it, and you don't get like the signs, and and then again, of course, on a Truther channel, which they'll call a conspiracy theory channel, it makes us look even that much more crazy to them. So, I don't go too hard in the paint with it, and I welcome everybody. It generally is Christians on this channel, but it's not exclusively Christians. And if anyone took it that way, I apologize if I made it seem like that, but everyone is welcome. Everybody is welcome, unless they're friggin' doing, what? Who's not welcome is Satanists. That's what I'll say that. And I'm sorry that, I like to be inclusive to everyone, but it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous. I've seen the power of that black magic shit. I was haunted for nights of the Baphomet symbol, and it wasn't even when I fell asleep, it was when I closed my eyes. So it's like, yeah, I'm all set with that. And it happened out of nowhere. I talk about that all the time. That's how traumatic it was, literally traumatic experience I went through with the Baphomet every time I closed my eyes after doing a bunch of research on the dark web. And even somebody that I'm not cool with, I gave a heads up, because he was looking into some of the same stuff I was looking into when this stuff went down to me. And I gave him a heads up and said, yo, hey, from human to human, because we haven't been cool, I would be careful with that symbol, the particular symbol. It's a very powerful symbol. I couldn't believe he had it up and that video didn't get taken down, to be honest with you. Actually, I think it might have gotten taken. I'll have to check. But I remember seeing that a video had gotten taken down. Someone had put in chat of a different channel that one of his videos got taken down. I'm assuming it's that one, because you don't put that symbol up and that stay up. The only place I've seen that is in Anthony Patch's Patreon. It's the only place where I've seen that go up and stay up, because it's Patreon. It's different. And no, I don't have Patreon. I don't think that some people should get exclusive information just because they're willing to pay. Although, speaking of money, been pretty taken back at the lack of donations. And like I said, you know, this is a free channel. No payments required. But you know, there's gotta come a point, like 2 weeks non-stop, like, you know, multiple videos a day. You know, when I do the big videos, they're packed with information. We're talking 5 hours, 4 hours, 5.5 hours, 6 hours, you know, crazy hours. I mean, too many hours to even watch, but packed with info. It doesn't matter where you watch it, there's going to be info galore. Yet it's the same one person who I feel like they're like giving me like these like small pity, like out of pity. And I love this person. I mean, we've grown to be very good friends, and I'm not saying, I don't mean to diminish the donation at all. I would rather them not have to donate to me because they feel bad. Like, you know what I mean? Because I just feel, I'm basically just to that person. To that person, I'm just saying, when I say pity, I'm not diminishing. Thank you. But, you know, that, let's be honest, that's how it feels. I'm just being honest. That's all I know how to do is be honest. So, my wallet. Alright. So, also, alright, I'm not even done on the Kobe stuff. So that was the first big thing, was the eyewitness account versus what the actual story is now. And like I said, athletes really can be tempted into selling their SOUL, okay? Because they have God-given talents. You know, usually the type you get, people who want to be movie stars, music. Music requires talent as well. These days, not so much. I mean, if music was all about the voice, it wouldn't be every female artist is a bombshell. Although they do kind of like pretty them up a lot. They make them look a lot better when they make them stars. But you know, like Rihanna, she was like the best for so long, and she legit has a great voice. And she's like, you know, like an angel fell from heaven, gorgeous, you know? It's just, what are the chances of that? You know, we can go down the line. We can talk about every single one. Now, I know right now there's a large woman who is beautiful in her own way, but not your typical beauty, like a Beyonce and all that. You know, and with men, you know, it's like, you know, so it's kind of set up like that in that way. You know, like Katy Perry, but she grew up, her father was a pastor or a minister or something like that. And she admitted to selling her soul, as did Miley Cyrus. Despite, you know, and I think her father is right along with him. I mean, he had the #1 song of the year. People don't even know it because all they see is the rapper in it. But that's him along with the rapper. You know, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road and I'm gonna ride to the, without, however that goes. I'm not really into newer music. I think new music sucks. I feel bad for the young generation. The music sucks, but people think I'm crazy walking around. Oh yeah, you guys remember this thing? Look. Coming to a market near you. Remember it ran over the kid live? Watch this, guys. Yeah, what a... The AI bot. Facial recognition, friggin' everything. You look at it, it has a little computer in there, everything. You're supposed to know when to stop, but apparently if you're too short, like my daughter was, it'll run you right over. And the creepiest part is they try to make it look, they put eyes on it, try to make it look friendly. I can't believe you guys don't have this in the rest of the country. In Massachusetts, they have them everywhere. You have to walk around it. It's crazy, right? I mean, we're used to it in Massachusetts, but around the country, they don't even know about these things. And when I ask them questions about it, when I ask, yeah, look at it. It's like turned around and watched me walk away. He's like, I'll see you. I know where you go. He knows my schedule. He goes, next you're heading to the pull-ups aisle. Look, he's like gonna go parallel in the other thing. This thing's freaky, man. It really is freaky. Freaky, right? I'm telling you, in these friggin' crazy liberal areas, that's what they got. You'll see them in California. You'll see them in New England, for sure, like Massachusetts and Connecticut, I'd say. Definitely those two. Maybe not New Hampshire, but definitely Massachusetts. Like anyone from Massachusetts, you might have seen one. Like this is the only. There's 2 stores I've seen them in Massachusetts, but I heard that they're becoming more frequent now. And if you guys remember one of my, like way back, like over the summer, I covered Stop and Shop on strike. And they were fighting for all these rights, and supposedly they won. But if they won, then that means they had to make some concessions too. And trust me, their little union is nothing compared to the high-powered attorneys owned by the CEOs of these, chains that go all across the East Coast. Can't even touch them. They make it, these lawyers are smart enough to make it seem like they're aiming for one thing, and then make it seem like it's about the how much they're actually getting paid per hour or something like that, or their bennies or their benefits. And then they'll be like, all right, we'll do this per hour, we'll give you that, and we'll give you half of what you're saying in benefits. Because they probably already know something coming down the pike federally anyway. And then they put in there, but we're going to add some technology to the store to prevent, theft, and to raise the bottom line, meaning, make more money. And then in reality, what that ends up meaning is a bunch of self-checkouts. So basically, it's like, all right, we're going to raise your salary, but literally everyone that was working here, because I did interviews and everything. I don't know, is anyone here been with the channel since the summer? And remember the video that I did on the Stop and Shop, protests. They were protesting up here in Boston at every single Stop and Shop had a protest. And I didn't cross their line. I respected it, but I knew they'd get screwed. I knew they would win. It would appear like a win, but they'd lose. That's exactly what happened. They got the things they wanted, but not fully the benefit part, because the benefit part, that is a good chunk of change to the supermarket. But then the supermarket, what do they end up turning around and doing? They got, like a register, you walk up and it goes on the belt and goes up and they ring it up. No, now it's all self-checkout. Every single one is self-checkout. You just cut like 20 jobs right there. Now you can afford to pay the extra $1 or $2 an hour. And they throw an AI robot that they're probably getting paid a ridiculous amount of money, that 110% has facial recognition, AI, all of the above, and it definitely connects to something that eventually can, and it might not go directly A to B, but I bet you it goes A to B to C to D, but ends up with NSA. 100%, 110%. Look at the laws on our book. In fact, I don't even think it. I know it. I mean, like, this. Just what was going on when I was in that game. And I'm not going to give away any information or even hint at it. But we're talking, 02 to 05. Like, this is Like, when I left, this is like 15 years later now. 14, 15 years later. Trust me, what's going on now is even 10 times crazier. And I thought it was crazy then. And you would still today think it was crazy. That's all I'll say. It's just crazy. Like the capabilities of surveillance and collection of data, let's say. Data is a very sufficient way of describing many disturbing things that if they actually spelled it out, it'd freak you out, to be honest with you. And I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm just saying this is real deal. This is as real as it gets. I know that stuff for us. I mean, if there's anything I know, that's it. The coronavirus, I'm positive on it, but it's like I wasn't there in the biolab where they were creating. You know what I mean? Like it's like, imagine I was like there in the biolab, like how confident I could be. But yeah, that's the word. The guy that they said was the first one that got it. The first guy that got it. The first guy that ate some type of weird animal. For some reason, he got it, and then he gave it to a bunch of humans. He was generation 1. Turns out he wasn't at that market. Didn't get it at that market. He might have been at the market, but he didn't. They somehow were able to figure out that he didn't get it at that market. I wonder how they figured that out. I'm gonna look into it, because this is just something I came across, kind of like my morning thing, going through stuff. And then what else? Oh, so not only did he not get it at the market, but that BIOLAB lab, right there, 1 mile away. So it makes you think, was this on purpose? That's the question. Was this actually released onto the public on purpose? Whether it be, these people, a small group of elites with aspirations of Georgia Guidestone-like numbers for population, which is why when you look at Deagle, they have our population 1/3 what it is today, and everyone didn't understand that. This might be why. China's population is what? Actually, no. China's population wasn't affected that much in Deagle, so that part doesn't make any sense to me. But then again, China. The one thing that the scientists do know is that the numbers coming out of China are not correct. But the big X factor is what comes out of China is very fishy, because they are state media. Everything they do goes through this propaganda program. And let's be honest, that's exactly, it's not as obvious, but the U.S., same exact thing. Propaganda program, all that. Ever since the Smith-Mundt Act, propaganda, the ban on propaganda was lifted, as I remind you guys all the time, because I think it's a huge red pill. Once you realize that our country, we are under propaganda, when Obama decided, hey, we have a ban on propaganda? Why? It's like Anchorman said, why do we have to tell them what they need to hear? Why don't we tell them what they want to hear? And that was supposed to be funny. That's in a comedy. Well, apparently Obama saw that comedy and thought, that's funny, but I don't know why I did Bill Clinton accent. But anyways, I can't do it on Obama. But that's funny. But you know what? I can use that. And he used it. And he lifted the ban on propaganda. Ever since then, you turn on the news, things that used to be somewhat legit, you could at least know what's going on in the world. What you get is what I call opinion news. Fox News, MSNBC, the friggin', CNN, of course, probably the worst of all. MSNBC might be the worst. I mean, they're like ridiculous. All of them are bad. Even Fox News, they're all bad. They're all, and the reason that they do it is like, well, why doesn't a channel come out that just does the news, and they don't have any political agenda, and they purposely go out of their way not to have like a opinion on things. They just give you the news straight. and trust the American people to be smart enough to figure it out themselves. Sounds like something that would be extremely successful. It would almost basically take over what we call news today, right? Well, the reason for that is because of that Smith-Mundt Act and the fact that, listen, the markets are cornered. It's a monopoly. There is no way that, listen, there's certain types of people, all right? And I'm not going to blame them for their religion, because then other people with that religion, they look bad. And I happen to be in a city where the number one, right now where I'm at, there's a lot of Jewish people. But, and I have no problem with that. I actually like all their food, things like that. But what I'm talking about is on the CEO level. I'm talking about on the CEO level, on the cabal level. We're talking, the elites, that type of stuff. The ones trying to actually run the world. The ones who actually think that they can take on Jesus when this day comes, and this day is approaching. I'm telling you that. We're learning that more and more each day. And what they do is, unfortunately for the actual Jewish people, they adopt their religion, they use their religion, and exploit their religion in order to meet their means, and that's how they get where they need to be. And it's so crazy when you look at what they're actually up to. And we're talking media, we're talking music, anything entertainment. Come on, we all know the deal. They used to be like a saying, and I didn't find this out till later. 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. They always said, a Jew running it, and a Caucasian, an American Caucasian, Protestant star. And that's been the formula that's worked for millennia. I mean, not millennia, but you know what I'm saying. All right, that's been the formula, and that's just how it is. It's the truth. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that that's not the case. I just don't like saying it, not because I'm worried to say it. It's pretty weird to me, and this is one of the things I don't like about Trump, is that you can do anything, but if you talk about someone Jewish, they're the only people you can be prosecuted for even talking about them in a negative fashion. You can be prosecuted for talking about them in a negative way. Hate crime, automatically. It's like unbelievable. Yet they can make on Netflix, their Christmas special was a gay Jesus. That's okay. Another one, Muslims. I mean, a gay Jesus. If they even made a stick figure cartoon of Muhammad, they would go and literally massacre anyone who was involved with that. I don't know. Now, Christians, I'm not saying we need to step our game up, start getting tough. I'm not saying that, because the way the tactics being used by these other sides, that's not the way. And most Muslims don't like that. I know there's a lot of Islamophobia, and you know what? It's really created by the media, 9/11 and the media, and the intelligence agencies, if we're being honest. It helps keeping the military-industrial complex going. But I feel like a weirdo because I'm I just got my milk. I'm thinking of what I'm saying more than I'm when I'm shopping. Oh, yeah. You guys see? So basically, I just wanted to put that out there. I think you guys catch my drift. So yeah, as far as the Kobe stuff as well, all of a sudden everyone's a fan. All of a sudden everybody, you know, the saddest part of this whole thing is his daughter and the whole aspect of his second act in life as a great father. Now the media loves him. When he was alive, they tore him to pieces. They probably drove him to drink, or maybe not. He was a special type of, he had a certain drive. And it's like, you know, his father was in the NBA. And usually when your father, it's very rare, like, to find somebody where their father is rich or famous or, you know, in the NBA, let's say. The son grows up kind of, you know, obviously they don't grow up poor. They're going to grow up, you know, comfortable. They're going to feel a little bit more privileged. They're going to, you know, and Kobe Bryant's father, you know, with his father being in the NBA, you know, usually there's a lot of NBA players who their father was in the NBA. Because there's only so many 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" fellas. You know what I mean? You know, you were near at that height. Genetics have a lot to do with it. I mean, body size affects basketball more than any other sport. You know, that it's basically like defined by that. I mean, there's just no way around it. There's been like a couple exceptions, like Muggsy Bogues, but I don't know. That was more like a freak show than anything, to be honest with you. Just how short he was, and you know, you don't find people short like that. Even my height. See, like I'm in person, I'd be like the tallest person in the room usually, at 6'2", but you know, it's just if I was on an NBA court, I would look like a midget. You know what I mean? It's just kind of funny how that works. So also, what I want to say about the media is, so they're being very hypocritical. The way they used to treat him, the way they're treating him now. Now all of a sudden, everybody is legit crying. They're pushing this thing wicked hard. The whole story doesn't even make sense, because you guys remember, I reported it right away. Actually, if you want to see, I didn't report it on this channel though. So maybe a lot of you guys didn't see it. I know a lot of you guys didn't see it, because I know how many views I got, and I know how many subs I got. But if you guys want to check out, all it is Wise Guy, WISEGUI, I'm sorry, Wise Guy, all one word, sports. And you just look, there's the last two videos about Kobe dying, and then the second video I do is just basically to say, oh wow, his daughter was in the helicopter as well. And this is like, when I made it, it was like really fresh. So I even talk about, at first I'm talking about the fog, but I think by the end of that video and the second video I started talking about the videos where they were, you know, they were talking about the spluttering. I didn't show the videos in that. I wish I did, but you know, at the time it was just like, it felt a little bit too sensy. You know, it just happened. I'm like, what the hell? I was kind of in shock. But I did mention how that's what people, all the witnesses were saying, that they heard the spluttering and they saw the fire coming from the rotor. How is that possible? So the official story, by the way, is that he's flying. He has zero visibility. He calls the tower calls back, says turn around. At the experienced pilot he is, he does a 180, comes back, starts going back towards LA, right? Because they were leaving LA from toasting with LeBron to LeBron passing Kobe for third all time on the NBA scoring list, to go to, as a good father would, his daughter's tournament. Because she was also into a bunch of sports, actually. And from what I understand, she really stood out in basketball. Like I said, genetics have a lot to do with this. You know, Kobe Bryant was her father. And the point I was making before, he wasn't one of those, like, you would think that he grew up in the hood. because he had such an edge. He had like something to prove. You know, he had a chip on his shoulder. You know, he had a snarl. You know, like he was a cold-blooded assassin on that court. And I never even actually knew that his father was a player until later in his career, and I was shocked when I heard that. And I was like, what? You would have thought he grew up hungry, you know, like just years of oppression and living a tough life that beats you down. And it just creates this certain motivation in people. And sometimes, especially in sports, you see that come out in such greatness. It's people who have been through the most, you know, trials and tribulations, you know, that's how diamonds are built. Pressure and just, it keeps you just the pressure and the constant pressure. That's how a diamond's built, you know? And that goes for people as well. It's spoken about in the Bible. I don't know, I can't quote the verse, but I know that they speak about that in the Bible. Anyways, guys, I think that's all I wanted to say. I mean, it's a lot, but I am extremely suspect of this Kobe thing right now, but not nearly as suspect as I am about this original coronavirus guy. It turns out he wasn't at that market, didn't get it there, and he didn't get it from an animal. So where did he get it from? There's only two options. Another human, which means that he was actually the second generation, at least, because that means that they're not even sure that, you know, their little tree that they had just got demolished because he didn't get it from an animal. They were able to prove that somehow with some type of testing. He didn't get it from an animal. Does that mean it didn't come from an animal? No. He could have got it from a person who got it from an animal. But it also could be something more nefarious, like, I don't know, he got it from the bio lab. And so it's possible that he was first generation, it's just didn't come from an animal. It's probably more likely that he got it from another person who got it from an animal, which would make the ones we thought were fourth generation that were coming over here and then getting sick as soon as they got here, the fifth generation, and the people that are getting sick here from those people, the sixth, they would be the sixth generation. The people who would, like in America, if someone from China came and then you got sick, you would be sixth generation. And as we went over, fourth generation, that's wicked bad. Fifth or sixth generation, we're entering unprecedented worldwide, like, and meanwhile, you look at the news, you look at the media, you would never know that something this, the potential of this virus, how bad it actually is. When you look at the headlines, I scrolled. It was like the 12th article. I had to scroll through 1 million articles this morning even to get to it. And it was like huge news. It wasn't just like saying coronavirus, new numbers. No, it was the first guy that got the coronavirus. We now have, they now figured out that he didn't get it at the market, didn't get it from an animal, and they don't know. So they're thinking that he got it from another person, which means that he was actually second generation. They didn't say, or he got it from a bio lab, which is only a mile away, and we know that they were working on some stuff, and they also had gotten kicked out of Canada working on a level 4 virus of the same type, where it would, a level 4 would fit the coronavirus that they were working on that in Canada, and they got kicked out of there. Chinese scientists. So obviously they've been up to something. Like I said, like I've been saying for a year now. We've been in a silent war with China for so long. We've been kicking their ass. But all it takes is one well-coordinated bioweapon attack. And especially if you're willing to sacrifice some of your people. Yeah, they could get us good. They could get us real bad. So with that, I don't mean to scare you. Let me end it on a positive note. You know what? I don't want to bullshit. What I am going to say is this, though. The mask that you want is the ventilator. N95. That's what it's called. N95. And you want to get the one with the ventilator, from what I understand. Okay? I'm passing this news on. And then you want to have protective eyewear. Turns out the doctor that died, he was head to toe covered. Forget about a mask. He was head to toe covered. He died. You know how they figured out he died? His eyes. After that, they started wearing goggles. So they're still learning about this virus. So, you know, don't feel ridiculous like you're going over the top when you get that. No, they didn't know that it would get in this, that the eyes would be the thing. Also, it keeps going up. The latency slash which the thing that makes it really the most deadly and spreadable, and what really makes this a problem is the latency slash why do I forget that word? I said this word probably about 100 times over the past week. Induction. My brain is fried. Anyways, the latency period. You guys know what I'm talking about. I've mentioned it 1,000 times. So during that period, that's gone from 5 to 7. Then it went up to 10. Then the last thing I saw was 14 days or more, 2 weeks or more. You can go without any symptoms. And the way that they do screening, and this is the thing, all Americans feel safe right now. Nobody's worried about it. Nobody's worried. I even test people. I'm like, oh, you hear about that coronavirus? They're like, yeah, I feel so bad. Some people are dying in China. You know, like they don't have enough going on. It's like, I don't think you guys understand. They have not stopped the flights. They have not shut down the shipping ports either. All right, and this thing's airborne. And once it's airborne, you don't have to be in the room with them. All you do is have to be in the vicinity of the same place they were within a month. 27 days. And you know what? That number might actually go up, because what we're seeing is a lot of the science they thought they knew turned out to be underestimated. But I'm not going to over report what isn't reported yet. But I will make that point that so far almost all of the science that's been put out has been underreported. And then they end up coming out later saying, oh wait, it's not 5 or 7 days. It's not 5 and at the most 7. It's actually 14 or more. You know, a little mistake. And you know what their answer is for screening? For those of you guys who don't know, is you ever see one of those things, you take your temperature, you don't have to put it in the mouth, you just put it up to the head. Doot. That's it. And you think, what? I thought China was a powerful country. Oh, I'm not just talking China, people. You get tested in China, and then they test, don't worry. In the US, we test you too. We have one too. It's just made from an American company. And then they go, doot. And if your temperature is normal, welcome to America. You know, bring the norovirus right in. We have a couple huge cities. We have New York. We on the East Coast. We have a multitude of huge cities. You could start in Boston. The Revolutionary War was started there. They tend to be rebels. They tend to be loudmouths, but they also tend to be the most interesting people in this country. Most talk show hosts are from Boston. Anyways, also now we have New York. I mean, of course, New York. That is the city of the world. That is the most famous city in the world. You could spread the virus there. Easy. We're talking populations 10 times that of Boston. And then you could just go right down from New York. And if you want on the way, you You guys haven't been able to hear that whole spiel. And so I was saying, after Boston, I don't know if you guys heard, then, this is for anyone coming from China. You just got the virus. You don't know it yet, but you got a couple weeks. Go to Boston, the revolution started. We got a lot of interesting stuff there, a lot of history. Then you can go to New York. That's the new city of the world, probably spoken of by Nostradamus when he mentions it. And it's the most popular city in the world potentially, along with London and Paris. Probably number one. It's probably number one is in the U.S. Stop by New York. You got a lot of people there. You don't even have to hit every borough. Just make sure you hit the more center boroughs. Manhattan. Now you'll be able to really take out Manhattan and Harlem because they're just on an island. So you just stop by there. Then you cruise down. If you want to stop by Providence, Hartford, do so. That's fine. You got 14 days to even show symptoms anyway, so no one's even going to know you're sick, including yourself. Then you go down, you check out Philadelphia. Don't forget to stop right before you get to the Capitol building. Go to Baltimore. And when you go to Baltimore, they got some real primo dope. So get some heroin while you're there. So, because you're going to find out you're sick in probably about another week from this point. And you're not going to be too good. So you might need it then. So now you go to D.C., walk around the Capitol, shake hands with the Democrats, whatever you want to do. Go down the south. The main cities you want to stop by is Atlanta. Although, don't forget in North Carolina, that they're up and coming. We want to make sure we kind of handle that. And also, Virginia's kind of been a pain in the ass for us lately. Stop by some of avoid Richmond. We like them. But go around Richmond, hit the rural areas. Eventually Richmond will get hit anyway.